And this level starts off with a boss fight. Now, the thing is, in this... The relationship between Brandon and Bungie is a little weird, because in the anime, Bungie was kind of like a hitman before Brandon even, like, did his thing, and it's implied that Bungie is older than Brandon, but yet for some reason Brandon's, like, better at it than Bungie is, so Bungie then just becomes... Oh, you know what? I'll give him this. Yeah, Bungie has his own graveyard special. It's kinda tough. So, yeah. No, you only get one. You only get the one. Now, he says that everything I'm about to do I learned from you, but it's like, okay, you got the graveyard special, that's one thing, but none of the other stuff you got, Brandon can do. Oh, no. If he hides behind the pillar, he just heals himself. Which I suppose Brandon can do, well, I suppose Grave can do too, but... Yeah, that's why that fight actually could take longer than it does, is if you let him get behind a pillar, he'll just heal himself. But since I didn't let him do that, you know, screw him. I do like that guitar solo that he has, but, yeah, so the thing is, like, look, the thing is, like, yeah, he looks old in this, but at the same time, it's like, Brandon was alive for a long time, and then he was dead for, like, however long. So it's like, okay, so he could just be younger than Brandon, but, you know, he could still look old because of how long Brandon has been alive, dead, and then unalive. But in the anime, it was set up so that way Bungie was just older than Brandon, but yet Brandon was yet somehow better at killing people than Bungie was. And then Bungie just decided to become Brandon's pupil for some frickin' reason. And yet there was still, like, that sense of rivalry between them, even though it was only on Bungie's side. I don't know. I think any problem I have with Bungie and Brandon's relationship could be completely resolved if they just made Bungie canonically younger than Brandon.
Brandon. どこまでも行こうぜ、ブランドン。薄暗いあの場所なんか見えなくなるくらいにな。力が欲しいな。そのための自由で大きな力が。
ブランドン、私の組織が調和の時代を迎えた。私の望んでいた形だ。これからはゆっくりと生きたいものだ。マリアと腹の娘のためにもな。
ブランド、私たちは汚れた場所で育ったけど、この子には普通の世界で生きてほしい。この子の世界を守ってほしい。ありがとう。
ブランド、ボスをやろう。あるものを手に入れた。この町すべてを手にできるすげえものだ。いいか、これはチャンスだ。今やらなきゃ俺たちは上に行けねえ。それにマリアもお前のものだ。なんて臆病者だ。失望したぜ、ブランドン。誰よりも上に立たなきゃいけねえんだよ。お前だけは分かってくれると思った。落ちろブランドン、元の薄暗い場所へ。お前にはお似合いのグレイブだ。
man, so that's how he got the scar. Now, the thing is, that's the other thing, is, from that, this could be more my headcanon than anything, but Maria, you can't really tell what her age is there. The way I put it is that, okay, yeah, Brandon had feelings for Maria, but it was like, Maria, from that, you couldn't tell that she particularly had feelings for him. She liked him a lot, you could tell that, and she thought he was reliable, sure. But it was like, and yeah, they did say that they grew up in, like, the same place, but it was like, the way I pictured that was that Maria was kind of like the neighborhood's big sister, in a way. And, like, yeah, okay, Brandon developed a crush on her, but she never felt that way about him. She always viewed him as, like, a younger brother, and then those two wound up getting brought into the organization together. And then Maria wound up marrying Big Daddy, while Brandon wound up becoming an enforcer for the Syndicate. So, in that sense, it's like, okay, so Big Daddy winds up marrying a woman who's, like, a lot younger than him, which is fine, and Brandon was just having a crush on a woman who is older than him. But according to the anime, no, Maria and Brandon are the same age, and they used to be lovers. And they the thing is, like, because Maria's father was, like, friends to Big Daddy when they were younger, is that when something happens and Maria's father winds up getting killed, and she winds up getting brought in and raised by Big Daddy for years as, like, her... Yeah, Big Daddy was basically acting as her uncle, while Brandon and Harry were doing their whole syndicate thing. And then, when, so Maria's tired of, like, constantly being pushed off by Brandon, and Brandon, like, is concerned about bringing her into the dangerous lifestyle, because he's basically the Syndicate's hitman. He's the go-to hitman for the Syndicate. So he breaks up with her in order to protect her, and she's heartbroken about it. And as he's leaving her, as she's crying, Big Daddy approaches him and he says, yeah, so I know that she's young enough to be my daughter. In fact, I think she's actually young enough to possibly be his granddaughter. And he asked Brandon, like, so I've always had a crush on Maria. Do you mind if I, like, move in on your turf, so to speak? Because you just broke up with Maria. And Brandon's like, sure, take good care of her. And then, like, a day or two later, she is fawning over him like a goddamn newlywed. She rebounded hard after Brandon broke up with her. So much so that she is, like, head over heels in love. Just, like, draping her arms around this man who, up until, like, a day prior, she basically thought of as an uncle, and was, like I said, is a man old enough to be her grandfather, possibly. So it's like, okay, so it's one thing to have, like, Harry end up with Sherry, who's, like, 10 years younger than him. It's another thing to have Maria end up with Big Daddy, who's, like, 40 years older than she is. That's just... So the thing is, like... It's another thing if, like, Brandon just liked Maria and was, like, an unrequited love, and Maria and Big Daddy's ages were closer together. But no, it's like, they did that in the anime. And that was just another reason why the anime, like, kind of ruined the games for me. Because it broke my headcanon. Also, this is a pretty fucked up place we're in right now, isn't it, huh? Just had to go on that little tirade and ignore, yeah, we have these heart-looking things that are just cranking out these seed men. I'm thinking, it's like, yeah, if these guys are like... Because, yeah, it's... Maybe I hadn't played this game in too long, because I'm pretty sure, somehow I got it into my head that these albino-looking dudes were just normal people at one point, but then, like, got assimilated into seed. But now I see these things are, like, making them. No, I know for a fact that... yeah, I know for a fact that there was at the very least one line in Gungrave Overdose that said that these were normal people who just gave themselves over to Seed, and then they transformed into this. So either these hearts are able to make them, or they offered themselves over to Seed, and then they went into, like, those things to gestate, and then they get popped out, and then they look like this. Or maybe I'm just thinking a lot harder into the lore than what possibly even the guys who made the games did. Also, I'm not entirely sure why just covering their upper torsos with their arms like that makes them completely invulnerable to my bullets. These guys also kind of remind me of those enemies from The Suffering who are basically the physical embodiment of getting killed by firing squad. Anyone ever play The Suffering? Anyone ever play The Suffering farther enough to remember those enemies that just had, like, the rifles sticking out of their backs? That game freaked me out a little bit more than it should have, because it took place, granted, on a fictional island, but it was still off the coast of Baltimore, and I live in Baltimore. So, yeah, that conversation in the elevator was also something that happened in the anime. In the anime, the thing that Harry had gotten a hold of was the Necrolization Project. Specifically, the other scientist who's in the anime only, who basically took Dr. Tokioka's Necrolization process and said, let's do it on people who are still alive, and that's where the superpowered albino guys come from. But in the game, clearly he's referring to wherever the hell these things are coming from. And you might be wondering, like, okay, so what are these things come from? You'll see. It's the final boss. You son of a bitch! Oh my god. You bucket-mouth motherfucker! You know what? I just got a new potential headcanon. When Maria said the place we grew up in, she didn't necessarily have to be referring to her and Brandon. She could have been talking about her and Big Daddy. So that would have made her and Big Daddy's age even closer together. And at that point, Brandon could have just been, like, paramount to a granny chaser. Which I still would have been fine with, because Brandon's always been kind of a weird guy. The dude's borderline mute. He doesn't have a voice actor in this game.
Yo, Brandon.
Fuck yourself! Now see? Brandon in the game ain't taking shit!
二人で何でもやったな。見ろ、俺たちは世界の頂点に立っている。何でも自由だ。好きに奪えて、好きに与えられる。夢が叶ったんだぜ。なあ、ブランドン。
Well, then we're about to have something in common. Only difference is, I'm the dead guy who's gonna walk out of here. Yeah, so this is something else that they didn't do in the anime. In the anime, they just outright killed Big Daddy. In the game, they mutated him into this. Which doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense, but on the other hand, it does make for a really good boss. Dude's got a minigun for a finger, come on now! man, I had a good rhythm going, too. Nope! I don't know if I ever figured out a way to take care of that. Also, just trying to get to the end. Fuck the score. I suppose I could just blow off his arms. I think that's... If I ever found out a way to take care of that, I suppose that would have been it. Somebody say you wanted some fucked up stuff? This looks like the kind of boss you would see in a Suda 51 game. This is the final boss, the creature just simply known as Alien Head. Anyone here a fan of the show Big Guy and Rusty? This boss reminds me of Noigog, that brain-munching spider mutant voiced by Tim Curry. Hey there, smart guy. I smell something yummy. It's your brain. So yeah, the thing barfs out kamikaze seed men and launches its eyes at you like torpedoes and tries to suck you into its head. I think the lore is supposed to be like these things crash land here a long time ago, and Harry somehow got into communication with it and is like, hey, I'll start spreading your seed, huh? Yeah, you see where the name of the drug comes from? I'll spread your seed and allow you to repopulate like a good portion of the planet with some of your guys. In exchange, give me power. But not the kind of like mutant power that some of the other guys have, because yeah, he can't transform into those monsters. He just wants, like, political power. He just wants to rule over shit. And it's like, dude, you're not thinking of the long game. It's like, Graves beating the hell out of all your guys. You think maybe you want to have, like, a backup plan? Like, just in case? But he's like, nah, I just want to be straight up vanilla human all the way through. I'm like, whatever. It's your funeral, dude. Come on, there it is. Come on, stand up. Final Graveyard Special. Which is just all four of them that you have seen previously used together at the same time. Yeah, it's best not to think about any of what just happened there.
Gungrave.
終わったか。やれよブランドン。今度はお前の番だ。さあ。
And see, the best part here is that you actually have the option of shooting it. That's not a cinematic. You have the freedom to hit the square button and thus pull the trigger and kill Harry McDowell yourself. They didn't rob that joy from you with a goddamn cinematic. They gave you that freedom. Fuck Harry. Well, that was Gungrave, everyone. I shall see you in Gungrave Overdose.